and welcome to I24 News Sports Daily Magazine with all the latest scores and stories from the world of sports, and we have plenty of action coming your way. There's midweek play in the Premier League. Manchester City have to win if they plan on catching Chelsea at the top. There were good news for the citizens and for all the other Premiership clubs, as the new TV rights deal will give them big money. And how is a Brazilian football club planning to fight the terrible football violence in the country? All this and much more coming up. Let's get started. We begin in England, where midweek action is taking place. 4 matches were already held last night. Queen's Park Rangers took 3 very important points in their fight against relegation when they won in Sunderland. Hull City beat Aston Villa. Big match in Anfield, where Liverpool beat Tottenham 3-2. Mario Balotelli finally scores for the Mighty Reds. And in the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal beat last place Leicester 2-1. Gunners manager Arsene Wenger thinks he's not very impressed with his team's performance. He thinks Leicester are far better than what their place in the table shows.
Leicester fight not to go down. When you see the way they play football, you are surprised that they are bottom of the league and that they want to get rid of their manager. I think if they keep quiet, don't panic and stick together, they will get out of that. But because for me, it's one of the better sides we have played at the bottom of the league.
Now to the matches coming up tonight, and Chelsea are hoping to continue to cruise to the championship. Cesc Fabregas is back from injury, but Diego Costa will still be out against Everton due to suspension. Almost 30 points separate the Blues from Everton, and yet they know this is a team that can make life very hard for them. Manager Jose Mourinho is expecting a tough challenge.
Good team, good team. It's a good team. I don't look to the table or to the number of points. I look to the team, to the quality. Good team, very good team.
Chelsea can afford to lose a point here and there as they hold a 7-point lead at the top. It's a different story for second place Manchester City. The Citizens, who lost 2 precious points at home against Hull over the weekend, travel to Stoke, still without Yaya Toure and newcomer Wilfred Bony, who will be back from the Ivory Coast celebrations later in the week. The past month has been tough for City, losing grip on the race for the title with some disappointing results. But for manager Manuel Pellegrini, things do not look so bad.
I think that we are in a normal position. We are involved in Champions League. If we win tomorrow, I think that we are going to have just 1 point less than last season. I think that we have a lot of things to think. More important thing to think about the pressure of, I don't know which one, because I don't feel any pressure inside the club and outside.
4 more matches will be held tonight. Southampton hopes to hang on to 3rd place. They will host West Ham at St. Mary's Stadium. Manchester United will try to get back to winning ways when they host Burnley. Crystal Palace will host Newcastle, and West Brom will look for 3 valuable points in their fight against relegation when they face Swansea. There was another big headline last night coming from the Premier League. It's the new and huge TV rights deal. Sky Sports and BT Sport have won the UK television rights for the 3 Premier League seasons beginning in 2016 for a total value of more than £5 billion. This sum is well above the £4 billion that analysts had expected, and a 68% rise on the £3 billion the 2 firms paid for the current 3-year deal. This means, of course, much more money to the Premiership clubs, this being especially important to those clubs competing with other European forces. So don't be surprised if very soon we will see more major stars choosing the Premier League over La Liga, the Bundesliga or the Serie A.
Our clubs are at the top end having to compete with the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona, whose, as you know, I don't need to quote the numbers here, you will know their own individual television incomes, which are larger than any of ours. And therefore, this will get our top clubs nearer to the European clubs. And you, in the room, will be the first to criticise the Premier League if somehow or other the Premier League clubs don't fare as well in Europe against those clubs.
Now to Spain, where the first leg of the Copa del Rey semi-final will be held tonight. Barcelona will host Villarreal at the Camp Nou. The Blaugranas are enjoying their best run of the season, winning 9 of their 10 matches since the return from winter break. But manager Luis Enrique is well aware of the difficulties they will face tonight.
We know of the difficulty. For Villarreal, this is a very attractive game. The first time they've reached the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey. They're having a spectacular season. Until recently, they were in an outstanding winning streak. The game will be difficult. We've already seen that when we played against them in La Liga. We face this game as a unique and individual game, a game during which it is important we don't concede goals and that we can do better than our opponents and win the game.
Borussia Dortmund is going through hard times in the Bundesliga with 14 games to go. Jurgen Klopp's team is in relegation zone, but they got some very happy news this week. The team star Marco Reus, who had offers from every big club in Europe, has extended his contract in Dortmund until 2019. Sure, there was more money for him in Bayern Munich, Real Madrid or Chelsea, but Reus is apparently one of those few players left that still cares about the team and the community around it, and he explained what it is that made him stay with the team from the Westfalenstadion.
When I joined the club, I have already said that I have some plans here together with the club, with the support of the fans and together with the players. I just have the feeling that it's not over, even if it's of course very difficult in our situation at the moment, but I believe in it and one falls and wins together.
Marco Reus is clearly showing us the good side of football. Unfortunately, there's also an ugly side raising its head again this week. We're speaking about football violence. Just a day after more than 40 fans were killed in Egypt, these were the scenes in Brazil, where violent brawls broke out between Palmeiras and Corinthians fans at the Sao Paulo derby. Fans ran for safety as others threw chairs and missiles at riot police, who launched smoke bombs to disperse the crowd. Paulista Football Federation, who expected these scenes, ordered the match to be played with only home supporters in attendance, but Corinthians won a court appeal and several thousand of their fans were allowed in, and this is the result. Brazil has seen a dramatic rise in violent incidents in the past few years, with authorities unable to respond, so some of the clubs took an interesting approach in the fight against fan violence. The Recife Football Club from northern Brazil decided to employ fans' mothers to help control the atmosphere around the stands at the Arena Pernambuco Stadium, side of a few brawls recently. Just ahead of Recife's match against Náutico, some 30 mothers were given special training and fluorescent vests. The sound in the stadium had no idea that their mothers would be helping to control the fans. The moms themselves spoke of the reasons that brought them to join the new program.
It is very worrying for those who stayed home. I get very anxious wondering if you will come home from the match, as there is so much violence out there, and it is soccer in particular.
On to Chile, where a 54-year-old mystery was finally resolved. A plane carrying players from football club Green Cross from the southern city of Osorno to the capital Santiago went missing on April 3, 1961. 18 players and the coach, as well as the 3 referees, were among the 24 passengers traveling aboard the plane. No one survived. The plane has never been found despite several attempts until last Sunday, when an expedition team found the fuselage in a remote area of the Andes Mountains. The rediscovery of the plane is shedding new light on the tragedy and rekindling hopes of a long-awaited farewell for some of the passengers' surviving family members. The Ivory Coast is still celebrating the heroes who brought the country the second African championship in their history. The Elephants, as they're called, were honored in the capital Abidjan by Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara in his presidential palace. Team stars Yaya Touré, Boubacar Bari, Koulo Touré, Tien Siaka, and coach Hervé Renard were awarded the higher order of officers of the National Order of the Ivory Coast. Each player was also awarded with a prize of approximately $60,000. The civil war in Syria is having a brutal effect on all aspects of life in the country, and sport is no exception. Local leagues are mostly suspended, and the players are left unemployed looking for activities to fill their time, sometimes finding them on the wrong side of life. Such is the story of Abdel Lo Sarut, a former goalkeeper who joined the ranks of the Syrian rebels. Now he has turned into a jihadist. His life as a popular hero is now long gone. It's Barnbaum and Michael Friedman with the story.
At age 19, Abdel Lo Sarut was a simple Syrian goalkeeper with a nice sports career. His fame made him an icon of the Syrian revolution when he decided to join the ranks of the anti-Bashar al-Assad rebels in March of 2011. By using songs, the young leader held peaceful demonstrations every Friday. But in 2013, his fight took a radical turn when the Free Syrian Army opposed the Islamic State in Syria.
If we wanted the Islamic State, it would be an Islamic State here in Syria, which is founded by the Syrians. We are against bringing the Islamic State to Syria and Iraq to become a state where the activists may behave as they please.
Sarut then joined the terrorist organization and left the Syrian rebels, and Homs was about to surrender.
On behalf of the people of Homs, we ask members of the Syrian National Coalition at the headquarters of the Free Syrian Army. The Gulf Cooperation Council countries will provide fighters on the front of Homs and throughout Syria, and to give sophisticated weapons to repel aggression of the Assad regime.
In May 2014, the former sports star was humbled by the 2000 agreement between the Syrian rebels in besieged Homs and the troops of the regime. He joined Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, or ISIS, an organization whose misdeeds go beyond the borders of Syria today.
Daesh, as it is commonly known in the Arab world, is not simply a Syrian problem. It's not an Iraqi problem. Daesh is a global problem, and it demands a coordinated, comprehensive, and enduring global response.
Radicalization that makes him a true warlord. Hurt many times, he announced on social media that he wants to die a martyr. Those remarks are in line with the principles of ISIS.
In a few years, we have gone from a startup terrorist who controlled a small area of Mosul with a few thousand soldiers to an organization that now controls a territory half of France, with an income which is in hundreds of millions of dollars, and also with an army of 40,000 men, a true private army that is capable of waging war against other armies.
On Sarut's Facebook page, there are many images of dead children and civilians. The man once earmarked for sporting glory now aspires to be a jihadist.
Now back to real sports, and we go to the NBA, where the Kings made the trip to Chicago to face the Bulls. If you forgot how good Derrick Rose is, here's your chance to remember he just cruises his way to the rim for the three-point play. It was still relatively close in the first half. The Bulls were up by 8 at the break, but they made the run in the third quarter. Pau Gasol gets his 13th straight double-double and 34th of the season. 26 points and 16 rebounds are just standard numbers when it comes to the big Spaniard. Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins were the only players who showed up for Sacramento, but that is far from enough if you want to beat Chicago. Apart from his double-double numbers, Gasol also handed 3 assists. This one goes to Taj Gibson for the dunk. The Bulls win 104-86. Boxing is a very masculine sport. Fighters and referees are almost exclusively men. The women's role is no more than walking as a ring girl. The change, believe it or not, may be coming from Central Africa. Within Chibidi, a former fighter from the Democratic Republic of Congo, proves to herself and to the entire world that women can and should be boxing referees and do it just as good as their male counterparts.
Wivine Chidibi never planned to go into boxing. For the ex-wife of a famous boxer in Democratic Republic of Congo, it was jealousy that pushed her into the ring, as a way of keeping an eye on her husband.
I was angry with my husband. Every time he'd finish boxing, he'd disappear with other women. I never saw him, so we had a fight and I went home to my parents. And because I was so angry, I told myself that I have to take up boxing. That's how it happened.
But she didn't last long in the ring because with only a handful of women boxers in the Democratic Republic of Congo, she hardly had any rivals in her category. That's when she decided to train to become a referee, the only woman to take on this role in the country.
Some people thought that I'd only referee women's matches, but then they saw I also refereed over men. Besides, I don't enjoy refereeing women. I feel like they don't do anything, but I enjoy the men's fights, that's true. People are happy with me, and some want to be like me.
One of her fans is her former landlord, who's seen how she's had to balance 2 very different roles in her life.
Ménagère et arbitre.
A housewife and a referee, she has all the qualities needed to be a good boxing referee. She's confident and firm. She manages the fights well.
Décisive. Elle dirige bien le combat.
The money she earns from refereeing often isn't enough for this mother of 4 to make ends meet. She's only paid for professional matches, and they bring in between $30 to $80 a time. Despite the hardships, she's proud of the career she's forged for herself and wouldn't have it any other way.
Vinci DB showed us all where self-esteem can take her, and we'll end the show with someone who never had any problem of self-esteem. Zlatan Ibrahimovic joined the celebrities that have been immortalized in wax at Paris' acclaimed Musée Guerlain Wax Museum. His waxwork took 6 months to create, and Ibrahimovic was involved throughout the process. The PSG and Sweden superstar joined the presentation wearing the same jersey as his wax twin. The outspoken soccer star was all smiles as he posed to photographers and talked to the journalists. And that's it for us today. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.